Hello and welcome to California Today. I'm Daniel Hall sitting in for Lang Jing. Here's a look at what's going on inside the Golden State. Police are increasing their presence around schools in California following the shooting in Texas. Leaders have promised higher security for children. California is still leading the nation in gas prices by more than $1 on average. Some lawmakers are trying again to bring relief to state drivers. And homelessness is still a major issue in San Francisco. Several experts say the problem is policies that were meant to help in the first place. A gun and a loaded magazine were found in a second-grade child's school desk in Sacramento. Fortunately, no one was injured. According to the Sacramento City Unified School District, the incident occurred Tuesday at Edward Kemble Elementary. Students alerted staff that a classmate brought a weapon to school. The district stated staff immediately began to investigate and found a gun and an accessible loaded magazine in the desk of a second-grade student. The staff then called the police, who secured the weapon and opened an investigation. The district said they're grateful that it didn't result in a tragedy, due in large part to the bravery and awareness of the students who came forward and alerted the staff. After the mass shooting at an elementary school in Texas on Tuesday, Bay Area leaders are promising more patrols on campuses. Police say they will increase their presence in multiple districts.
Several school districts in the Bay Area are calling for change after the Texas school shooting that left 21 dead. In a statement, the San Francisco Unified School District said, although they did not receive any threats, the San Francisco police will increase presence around schools starting June 1st until the end of the school year. The Oakland Unified School District released a statement on Twitter saying, "This is the final week of school in OUSD, one filled with graduations, fun activities, and lots of joy, laughter, and love. But now, during this joy season, we learn of another horrific mass shooting. They are calling for a change to remove guns from those who will harm the rest of society." The Contra Costa County Sheriff said he ordered additional patrols around all their schools. Similarly, the Mountain View Police Department will also increase patrol at schools. They say they will make sure that students, staff, and parents know that classrooms and campuses are safe.
Hours after the Texas shooting, state senators approved allowing Californians to sue gun traffickers. The law will allow for civil lawsuits against anyone who distributes illegal assault weapons. That includes parts that can be used to build weapons and guns without serial numbers. Plaintiffs would be awarded $10,000 in civil damages along with attorney fees. The measure hopes to deter use of untraceable ghost guns, weapons without official identification. California's average gas prices are over $1 higher than the national average, but the much-promised relief is still nowhere to be seen. Here's a look at what a few legislators are trying to do.
For months, California lawmakers and Governor Gavin Newsom have been trying to address the growing gas prices. They have proposed everything from sending rebates to suspending the state's 51-cent gas tax.
It still hasn't happened. They've been fighting themselves. They have 3-4 different plans that they can't get agreement on. We have a very simple one. Relieve people of the gas tax right now.
A group of assembly members made a motion to suspend the rules on Wednesday morning so they can force a vote on a bipartisan gas tax suspension bill.
Now, the good news is there's actually been a bipartisan measure introduced in the legislature. AB 2457 has both Democrats and Republicans who have signed on to this bill. It's the same exact idea that we had. And we don't care about being the authors. We just want to see this get done.
However, the motion to suspend rules, which needed 40 votes in favor, failed. A bipartisan team of assembly members authored AB 2457, but when it came to voting time, half the authors abstained, while 3 voted in support and 1 against. Senate President Pro Tem Tony Atkins and Assembly Speaker Anthony Rendon previously stated, suspending the tax is not the way to address the issue. They wrote in a statement, "As we have said before, suspending the gas tax would reduce critical funds available for road repair and improvement projects. The Better for Families rebate that the legislature has proposed would provide the most meaningful relief to most California families." Currently, California's average gas prices, $6.06, is the highest in the country.
When Republicans first proposed suspending the gas tax on January 12th, gas prices were just $4.58 on average in California, according to AAA. The financial benefits lost over the past few months because of inaction from the Democrats is significant and could have provided much-needed relief.
Earlier this year, 4 other major proposals were introduced to provide relief from the high gas prices. Assemblymember Kevin Kiley introduced AB 1638 to remove the state's 51-cent gas tax for 6 months.
I proposed this in January of this year, but they ignored my bill. They refused to give it a hearing. It gathered dust. They stuck it in a drawer. And so our caucus took matters into our own hands. We forced a vote on the issue repeatedly, and the supermajority voted against it repeatedly.
But other lawmakers rejected AB 1638 in March after attempting to gut his bill. 3 other proposals have stalled. A Democrat-led initiative aimed to give all California taxpayers a one-time $400 rebate, whether or not they own a car. The funding would take $9 billion out of the state's budget. Newsom had a similar proposal. He suggested using the $9 billion to give $400 debit cards per vehicle, with a limit of 2 per household. And the governor also planned to give $200 rebates to all taxpayers, except for the wealthiest 10% of vehicle owners.
A few hours after the Assembly floor vote, Kiley took to Twitter with an update. 10 Democratic Assembly members added their votes in support of the motion to suspend the gas tax. This brought the yes vote up to 26, but still shy of the 40 needed to pass the motion. The homelessness crisis in San Francisco has gotten markedly worse in recent years. Despite the pandemic, experts say official missteps at the municipal level have seriously exacerbated the crisis.
San Francisco has tried many ways to tackle the homeless crisis. Experts have said that the measures, instead, have made things worse. During the pandemic, the city purchased hotels and converted them into homeless shelters. But poor management and leaving people alone in individual rooms has led to a range of new, worse problems. According to Jennifer Freidenbach, executive director of the Coalition on Homelessness, the city should not have prioritized housing for the residents of shelter-in-place hotels. She said the system had to start all over, which opened up vacancies while people were stuck outside for 2 years, suffering from substance abuse, drug overdose, and mental health deterioration. Stephen Ide, a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute, blamed the Housing First policy that put the homeless in single-room occupancy units. Figures showed that many of the overdose deaths happened in such units, which have been described to be squalid. According to Zach Clark, executive director of the Home More Project, the hotels quickly turned into dens for drug use. He said he would often hear people yelling vulgar and inappropriate things from their windows as they were doing drugs. Hotels created the perception that the city was making progress on homelessness when in fact they were making many strides back. In terms of solutions, Clark's organization plans to build a treatment facility of its own in a neighboring city which is not yet ready to name. They also promote a different approach to treatment.
We're going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we've got ready for you when we come back. After more than a week of FBI revelations about corruption in Anaheim, the city backed out of the sale of a baseball stadium. We'll give you an update on what's happened up until now. CalTech is designing new drones that can easily counter gale force winds. They are designed to be able to fly through tornadoes and are expected to offer both new life-saving and comfort applications. And a new development in blood testing can apparently identify if a person has suicidal tendencies. We'll look at how researchers developed the tests. That and more on California Today. Anaheim is walking away from the Angels Stadium sale. During a city council meeting, the public also voiced their support of rescinding the deal.
The Anaheim City Council voted unanimously on Tuesday to immediately void a pending $320 million deal with the Angels baseball team to purchase the stadium. This is after 3 years of negotiating with the team owner's development management company. The canceled deal follows allegations of corruption revealed in 2 FBI affidavits released last week.
Moving forward, my expectation for this process, however long it takes, is that we play offense and are fully transparent and ensure a better deal than what we have before us today for the taxpayers of Anaheim. And due to the actions outlined in the FBI investigation affidavit, this deal, in my opinion, just can't move forward.
The city attorney said the city should expect the team to file a lawsuit seeking damages for at least $5 million. Angels representatives issued a letter last week to the city, setting a deadline for the deal's approval.
The state attorney general sought a 60-day extension, which is basically on the concept that the agreement could be deemed to be a violation of Government Code 1090, in which governments are not allowed to enter into agreements where one of its members has a pecuniary interest.
Mayor Harry Sidhu resigned on the day of the council meeting amid allegations of corruption, leaving 6 councilors to discuss the future of the stadium deal. According to an FBI affidavit, Sidhu allegedly leaked secret information to the baseball team's owner during negotiations of the stadium sale in hopes of later receiving a political campaign contribution. Sidhu has not been charged or indicted.
The FBI says that they have evidence of documents being sent by Mayor Sidhu to Angels representatives, be it an executive and or a paid lobbyist, on their behalf, who is paid by them. They're an agent of SRB management. That to me is evidence that there was collusion to create a deal that was not to our interest and that was corrupted by our mayor's actions.
During public comment, speakers at the meeting asked the council not to approve the stadium deal. The Angels baseball team is still operating under a lease agreement that ends in 2038.
UCLA settled several sexual abuse lawsuits that involved a university medical center gynecologist. It amounted to $374 million.
The settlement of cases involves former gynecologist James Heaps, who saw patients at the Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center for nearly 35 years. More than 500 lawsuits were filed against Heaps and UCLA, accusing the school of failing to protect patients after becoming aware of the misconduct. In a statement, UCLA said Heaps' conduct was reprehensible and contrary to their values. They are grateful to all those who came forward and hope this settlement is one step toward providing some level of healing for the plaintiffs involved. UCLA Health has also put up a website to provide information and resources to patients following the charges against the former UCLA employee.
Do you enjoy the bumpy feeling of flying through turbulence on an airplane? Probably not. Though it's not yet on planes, new drone technology in California could lead to breakthroughs in navigating through intense winds during flights in the near future. NTD's Jason Blair reports.
Researchers at the California Institute of Technology, also known as CalTech, show off a drone that can fight back against powerful wind gusts, which would render most currently sold equivalents unusable. The researchers said these drones are powered by machine learning, AI, and complex algorithms and could potentially fly themselves unaided in tornado-strength winds. They have the capability to revolutionize everything from air travel to medical rescues.
You know, planes right now fly with lots of clearance between each other and these big open runways, and that's not always going to be there. So we need drones that can really precisely do what you tell it to do.
O'Connell says that the method can be applied to any robot and it works well for flight or flying vehicles where there needs to be a fast response time. The Institute's Real Weather Wind Tunnel is a custom-made simulator that uses 1,200 fans that can create winds up to 26 miles per hour. The drone only weighs about 5 pounds, but intelligently predicts how to react in winds in real time using a deep learning method developed by CalTech's engineers called Neural Fly.
in the future, if we have like 3D flying car flying in the air, right, it's very important to have precise control because you want to make sure the flying car can track the trajectory very accurately. Because in our long-term mission is we want to generalize this technique to not only quadrilaters, to flying cars, to any area robots, such that they can like accurately, safely, like do complicated tasks.
A professor of aerospace and control and dynamical systems at CalTech showed off another drone which looks more like a plane but runs on the same software.
So this is called the autonomous flying ambulance, and thanks to our neural fly AI-based control method, basically we can send this flying ambulance to medevac the injured passengers from the traffic accidents, but we can make sure that this drone autonomous flying ambulance can land under any weather conditions because of our neural flight method.
Nervous flyers could also benefit along the way with the technology applied to commercial aircraft to help alleviate bumpy rides.
We can probably develop the aircraft that can make the air ride more smoother and more comfortable and so on, because it can actually handle these turbulent wind conditions better.
Chung said the technology is still in development, but the team is confident they're about halfway to their final goal. It could even be in practical use within a year. Jason Blair, NTD News, California.
Here's a novel approach to mental health. Researchers at the University of California, Irvine have discovered a way to identify suicide risk through blood. They're looking at certain biomarkers in patients with depression. Here's how they did it.
According to a published UCI study, suicides have increased to nearly 50,000 deaths yearly in the United States and around 800,000 total globally. The 2022 study further shows clinical depression as the most common diagnosis among suicides. They launched an investigation to see if a blood biomarker signature for depression could be identified. They researched post-mortem patients who took their own lives, studying both brain and blood cells, and their efforts were successful. The study uses a novel gene expression approach. This is a way to look for clusters of genes encoded in our DNA that make people at higher risk for certain conditions. In this case, they looked for genetic code specific to putting people at risk of suicidal tendencies. This discovery may help providers pinpoint individuals who are showing signs of suicide. The results could also help researchers understand molecular changes in suicide victims. Those findings may be of great use in treating the illness in the future.
Amazon's launching its first in-person clothing store called Amazon Style. It comes with a high-tech twist. That means faster checkouts and fewer frustrations associated with regular shopping.
Amazon Style uses machine learning and palm recognition to provide customers with personalized recommendations and fast checkouts. Just one of every item is on display rather than dozens of colors and sizes. You scan a QR code to select the variation you want, and store employees will send the colors in the right size and color to the fitting room or for checkout.
So I scanned it, my size is pre-selected, and I'm going to tap try on. So at this point, I've added a few things to my fitting room. I would be carrying those items with me, going and waiting in line for a fitting room. We wanted to simplify this for customers. So instead here, I was added to a virtual line for a fitting room. I can shop hands-free, and I'll get a notification in the app when my fitting room's available. So as you'll see here, Amazon Style fitting rooms are personalized for each and every customer.
The store will sell brands including Tommy Hilfiger, Levi's, and Steve Madden, according to Amazon's website. Amazon Style is the company's latest attempt to move into physical retail. Meanwhile, it's closing dozens of other physical locations like bookstores and mall kiosks to focus on grocery and fashion. Faye Quarter, NTD News.
Now let's take it to NTD's Thomas Christian for your sports update.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup. Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks had to wait out a rain delay in the middle of the game and sweat out some intense moments near the end. Once they did, they avoided a sweep and were still alive in the Western Conference Finals. Doncic had 30 points and 14 rebounds, and the Mavericks beat Golden State 119-109 in Game 4 on Tuesday night. A 16-minute rain delay at the start of the second half helped the Warriors cut a 29-point deficit down to single digits late. However, they would not be able to complete the comeback. It was the 10th double-double in his 14 games this postseason for Doncic, who also had 9 assists. Dorian Finney-Smith had 23 points on 9 of 13 shooting, and Bullock had 18 points on 6 of 10, all three-pointers. Jalen Brunson had 15 points, and Maxi Kleber, who was shooting 2 of 14 in the first 3 games, made 2 threes before halftime and was 5 of 6 overall for 13 points. Curry had 20 and returned late into the game after the Warriors had cut a 29-point deficit down to 8 points. But they never got closer even after Curry and other starters returned to the floor. No NBA team has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit in the series in order to win. Only 3 of the 146 teams to fall in that deep of a hole have been able to even force a Game 7. If the Mavericks want to get to the NBA Finals now, they'll have to make history first. Warriors 109, Mavericks 119. Jock Peterson capped a 3-homer, 8 RBI night with a game-tying single in the 9th inning, and Brandon Crawford followed up with a winning hit to lift the host San Francisco Giants to a 13-12 win over the New York Mets on Tuesday. The Giants, who snapped a 5-game losing streak, led 8-2 entering the 7th inning, but fell behind 11-8 when the Mets scored 7 runs in the top of the 8th. Francisco Lindor's 3-run triple capped New York's big frame. Peterson, the first Giants player to hit 3 homers in a game since Alex Dickerson in September 1st, 2020, hit 2-run shots in the 3rd and 5th innings. Darren Ruff had an RBI ground out in the 1st, and San Francisco's Tommy La Stella hit a 3-run homer in the 4th. Mets 12, Giants 13. Jed Lowry and Elvis Andrus hit home runs as Oakland snapped a 13-game losing streak against Seattle. Tony Kemp led the A's with 3 hits and 3 runs. Lowry drove in 3 runs and Andrus scored twice. Ty France drove in 3 runs and Julio Rodriguez homered for the 2nd consecutive night for the Mariners, who lost for the 5th time in 6 games. Kyle Lewis, the 2020 AL Rookie of the Year, tallied 2 hits in his season debut. Mariners 5, A's 7. Mookie Betts hit 2 home runs and Walker Buehler tossed 6 strong innings to power Los Angeles to a victory at Washington. Buehler allowed 3 runs on 6 hits to go along with 3 strikeouts and 2 walks. Trey Turner and Chris Taylor added 2-run homers for the Dodgers. Nelson Cruz finished 3 of 5 with 2 RBIs for the Nationals, who also got 3 hits from D. Strange Gordon. Josiah Gray gave up 7 runs in 3 innings. Nationals 4, Dodgers 9.
And that's all for sports.
That's all we've got for you today. You can join us again on California Today at 8:30 p.m. every weekday. If you have any news tips or ideas for our show, or if you just want to let us know how we're doing, send us an email at california.today@ntd.com. I'm Daniel Hall, sitting in for Lang Jang. Have a wonderful evening.